see videos on this car, and that's one thing, but being here in the driver's seat and experiencing what I'm experiencing is an ascension. Hey crew, I've got the key to that Porsche 718 Cayman GT4 RS. We are going to take it for a drive, but first, let's check out how it looks on the inside and outside. The GT4 RS is the most track-focused version of the Cayman, so everything on this car's exterior has a purpose. Starting with the extended front splitter that's adjustable to tailor your downforce. You get air inlets, brake cooling ducts, and air curtains on the side. There are LED DRLs and turn signals down low, and projector LED headlights up top, with the optional, and I hope I say this right, Weissach lightweight package. You get a carbon fiber hood with a Porsche decal. These two NACA ducts for brake cooling are standard, as are these vents over the front wheels, and this folded in portion behind the front tires, and those two things help extract the turbulent air out of that wheel arch. Standard are 20-inch lightweight alloy wheels with center locking hubs, here painted in matte black, and optional are ultra lightweight magnesium wheels. Within those are carbon ceramic brakes, here painted with yellow calipers, and they're wrapped up in Michelin Pilot Sport Cup 2 tires, 245 section front and 295 at the rear. There's some GT4 RS lettering down low, more carbon fiber for the door mirror caps with that lightweight package, and more carbon fiber for these two air inlets. Up top channels cool air to the airbox, and down low sends cool air to the radiators. Stepping back to look at the profile, with that lowered ride height and with that rear wing, the GT4 RS takes on this new menace. At the back, that wing is derived from the 911 GT3 with the same swan hinged arms. It's adjustable and in carbon fiber with the lightweight package. There are LED taillights and turn signals, an integrated spoiler, and GT4 RS lettering once again. Down low is a black diffuser with two titanium exhaust ports with that lightweight package. Overall, the 4RS looks so mean. It looks like it's gonna show up at a track and just set a new record instantly. What do you guys think? Is this better or worse looking than the 911 GT3? Let me know in the comments, and let's check out the interior. Opening up and looking inside at this black interior with a suede wrapped headliner, Weissach RS stitched on the headrests, standard carbon fiber bucket seats with manual slide and power height control. They get leather borders, gray suede inserts, and optional yellow seat belts. There are carbon fiber tread plates that say GT4 RS, aluminum accented foot pedals, all of this suede, what they call Race-Tex, here on the dashboard and on the door panels with gray contrast stitching, matte carbon fiber trim, leather up top, yellow fabric straps instead of door handles, power one-touch windows, and power adjusting, not power folding door mirrors. If you pull this tab, it opens the front trunk, and it's pretty darn big. I could fit inside myself. Or you can pull on this back tab to raise up the rear lid and find more storage space. Who says sports cars aren't practical? Plus, there's a carbon fiber engine cover with that lightweight package and a spot to add wiper fluid and engine oil. That's all they really want you to mess with back here. To get in, the best way I've found is to put your butt on the side bolster first, then scoot over. Otherwise, you kind of just fall into the seat. There is a suede wrapped steering wheel, and my friends, let me tell you, the size and thickness is perfection here. Beyond it is an analog tachometer, analog speedo, and reconfigurable digital gauge. There's carbon fiber on the passenger side. It says Weissach RS, and if you press on it, it will reveal two deploying cup holders. How clever is that? Then we've got a 7-inch screen, and the graphics are kind of basic, but it is very responsive, and it has wired Apple CarPlay and Android Auto. Beneath the screen are physical dial and button redundancies for media and climate. There's carbon fiber and suede wrapping along the console, more of that Race-Tex wrapping for your PDK gear selector, It looks like a manual, but it's not. Drive selection buttons here. Under that we find a DC outlet, suede wrapping for the console cover, and under that is just a little bit of storage with one USB-A port. There's another USB-A port here in the glove box. Headroom is excellent for me at 6 feet tall. Got plenty of clearance for me to put on a helmet and hit the track. Visibility is, well, okay, so the air intakes cover the quarter windows that were there, so that's a blind spot. And out the back, the wing does get in the way a little bit, so blind spots are here. The cabin is very serious looking about the art of driving quickly, so let's go do that next. All right, let's fire it up. Key in the ignition on the left. And we are live. Now, while not being the loudest startup I've ever heard, the idle is such a deep baritone that, fair warning, if your garage is next to your kitchen, you might make some dishes rattle. These are your drive selections here. I'm so used to having, in Porsche sports cars, a dial on the wheel, but we don't have that. Basically, you start out in the most comfortable, casual configuration for the powertrain and transmission and all that stuff, and you only press these things when you want to get crazier. Well, except for this button. This is to raise the nose, which is an option and should 100% be equipped to your car if you buy it. Pull back on the gear selector to go into reverse, and that brings up a medium to low resolution backup camera system. It does have trajectory lines. So we will scoot on out of here. Down into drive. And we'll begin with a turning radius test. Fully cranked. Tidy turnaround there. And for the turn signal sound, it's quite mellow. I like it. World famous horn test. Ooh. Oh, so bright and cheery. And now for the cream filling to the GT4 RS, the powertrain. It is a 4-liter naturally aspirated flat 6 motor. And you might be thinking, well, okay, so I'm paying how much more than a GT4? 37 grand and 56 grand more than the GTS 4.0. Yep, they both have 4-liter flat 6s, and that wouldn't make any sense. But thankfully, this is not the same engine. This is not the deturboed, bored-out version of the standard 911's flat 6 that we find in the GTS 4.0 and in the GT4. No, this is the 911 GT3's 4-liter flat 6. And so it makes 493 horsepower and 331 pound-feet of torque, which, yes, is down a little bit of power compared to the 911 GT3, because in the process of flipping that motor 180 degrees and fitting it in the center of this vehicle, the exhaust and cooling systems had to be adjusted. But the point is that it revs to 9,000 RPM. That's up 1,000 RPM compared to the 4-liter flat 6 from those lesser versions of the Cayman. And you don't just get the motor, you also get the calibration, the software for this 7-speed PDK dual clutch gearbox. And driving around town, that's not really going to matter to you. It's still going to be a typical dual clutch transmission in the slight clunkiness to the gearbox at low speeds. When you come up to a stop, as we're going to here, you'll feel the shunk of the gearbox. But when you're up to speed, it's going to smoothen out. So here we go. Coming up to a stop. Feel the shifts. Heavier and heavier as you get down to your stop. The brake pedal, thankfully, is easy to modulate. Come up to a nice, smooth stop. And then getting out of the hole, just a faint bit of clunkiness, and then it smooths on out. Now, the ride quality of this vehicle is not going to be super well suited to daily driving. For one, you've got these carbon bucket chairs, which are padded and pretty supportive and not terribly uncomfortable, but they do transfer a lot of the road's imperfections that don't get softened by the adaptive damper suspension in through to your spine. And this suspension, in its softest setting right here, is still very, very firm. And so you are going to be jostled around over bumps, and you're going to hear a lot of, one, that motor, of course, even just casually working the throttle, and two, you'll hear the tire noise, you'll hear the road noise, you'll hear the wind noise. It feels quite race car-esque. And so if you're coming into this vehicle thinking, I really want to daily drive my GT4 RS, then for one, you may want to option the 18-way power adjustable seats, and two, why are you buying it? This is really to be enjoyed at speed, and we are going to do that momentarily, but let's just kind of listen in at higher speeds for that NVH level. Okay, so it's a lot of motor. It's a lot of motor, a lot of intake, and I'm okay with that. You know, when I'm really going to be okay with that is when I can actually put my foot down. So let's skip to that part. All right, now we are talking. So let's make things a little more interesting with the settings. I'm going to hit PDK Sport here, and that's going to make the gearbox a touch more responsive. And that flat six is coming alive. I'm already so enamored with this steering. I waxed poetic about the size and thickness of the wheel, but when you actually get to articulate it, it's so much more. Because the precision of the steering is next level stuff. Of course, you've got the mid-mounted engine, so this platform is incredibly balanced. But when you have the finesse of steering like this, when you have the feedback levels that you get from this wheel, when the resistance is so clearly communicated, then you feel like you can truly extract a level of connection from this car. I can place this vehicle so perfectly on the road. The Cup 2s provide the grip I need, the engine placement facilitates this delicacy. And then the carbon ceramics, which I loved the modularity of them around town, here in a performance environment, have this amazing confidence-inspiring bite to them, in addition to just stopping power that makes the Cayman GT4 RS feel like a featherweight. And yeah, it's 3,200 pounds. It's 49 pounds lighter than the standard GT4 with the Weissach package, but it's not a Miata, and yet that's the feeling that you get from the braking. They've got so much in them. And then there's this PDK, which, yes, gets the software from the 911 GT3, but it also gets shorter gear ratios and a new final drive ratio so that you can pretty much hang out right around that peak torque of 6,250 as much as you want. And that's me just letting it do its thing in auto mode. If if I want, I can move the gear selector over and take over manual control. Connected to this car than I already was. And now for that insanely loud elephant in the room. And I do mean in the room. It's like you're in a cave with this engine. There is no glass partition. There is no sound absorption. It's just you, these intakes, and that motor in a confined space. So you hear all of that intake noise. You hear all of that crescendo at the red line. It's so difficult to describe the theater of this powertrain. You can see videos on this car, and that's one thing, but being here in the driver's seat and experiencing what I'm experiencing is an ascension. I've arrived with this car. And furthermore, if you don't fear long-term hearing loss, then you can open the baffles and the exhaust. And if you don't fear your chiropractor, then you can stiffen up the suspension. I think earlier I said the suspension was adaptive. It's not, it's adjustable. Best engines to be placed in their best platform. The result is absolutely magical. I can tell you that the wait, though it was long, was well worth it. This is by far one of the most rewarding cars I've ever had the pleasure to operate. It is the control and confidence that sells me. Like, my will as a driver is the only thing that concerns this car. That is what makes me feel like it would be an animal on a racetrack. And it's certainly one of the quickest things up and down a mountain road. But is the GT4 RS quick to 60? Well, for this very real-world test, not on a prep surface, I've got my race box set up here and all the configurations for launch control, including having the gear selector back in auto. I then hold my foot hard on the brake and the throttle. 3.48 seconds to 60. If 3.48 2.8 seconds to 60 is what this car can do on an imperfect surface, with the rear limited slip differential having to work overtime to get the power down, then it surprises me not at all that Car and Driver was able to get this car to 60 in 2.8 seconds. So yes, it's quick. Yes, it is fast. And yes, it is a pleasure to thread through corners. And that is going to lead me to my miles/per-hour word of the day, which for the GT4 RS is precision, meaning in an exact, specific manner, because the way that you manipulate this car with the fine granularity through a corner, that level of control over this car's motions can only be described as precision. And can only be truly appreciated by someone who loves to drive. Now, before we get into pricing and competition, let's talk fuel economy and top speed. So I said it's fast, but did I say it's 196 miles per hour top speed fast? Because it is. The fuel economy is not amazing. It's 15 mpg in the city, 17 on the highway, and 16 combined. The starting figure for this car is once again $144,000, which, when comparing it to the base Cayman at just under $62,000, or the GTS 4.0 at $88,000, or the GT4 at $137,000, is a lot of money. It is, no question, a ton of cash to be spending on a vehicle in this segment. But let's look at what it competes against before we decide if that is worth it. Starting at the low end of the price bracket, we've got the Chevy Corvette Z51, which starts at just under $69,000. It makes a similar 495 horsepower, gets to 60 in a similarly quick 2.9 seconds, has a top speed that's lower than this car at 180 miles per hour, and the fuel economy is better at 19 combined. And then from there, if you want to step up into entry-level supercar territory, then we've got the Audi R8 rear-wheel drive that starts at $152,000. It makes 562 horsepower, gets to 60 in 3.4 seconds, and has fuel economy of 17 combined. And we can't let the GT4 RS get away with it without mentioning its older brother, the 911 GT3, which is not a whole lot more expensive at $162,000. It makes 503 horsepower with the same engine. It gets to 60 in 3.2 seconds. The top speed's just a little bit higher at 198 miles per hour, and the fuel economy is the same at 16 combined. And friends, let me just say this. If you truly savor a good drive, it's going to be between the GT3 and this. And I don't know if, frankly, you'd be able to find one of these, and if you did, it'd probably be marked up like crazy, but if you could, it'd probably be the more collectible of the two options. But for me, it's the look and the heritage of the 911 with the manual gearbox available to it, with this engine that would kind of just have me lean ever so slightly in that car's favor. That's not taking anything away from how good the GT4 RS is to drive, though. And once again, I am just laughing to myself because I don't know how I get to do this job for a living, that I get to experience these cars and actually be able to know the differences between my hero cars. But here we are. I'd go with the 911 GT3. What would you guys choose? Let me know in the comments. This car, GT3, Audi R8 rear-wheel drive, Corvette Z51. Can't wait to hear from you. I hope you enjoyed this POV drive review. If you did, please like, comment, and share the video. Subscribe to the channel. Hit that bell to get notified. Oh my gosh. And I'll see you next time.